Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Deal with D and J. My co-host Jacob Pereira alongside me is DJ McCatherine. DJ, how we living right now?
Life is rolling. We're just grinding. Unfortunately, not anything too fun going on at the moment. What about you, Jacob?
Just vibing, keeping life simple. It's the best time of year. Baseball starting, we get the Final Four. Hockey's rolling around. We get the playoff pushes coming here soon. Let's dive right into it, DJ. All right, we got Duke, Houston, Florida, and Auburn. The final four teams, all one seeds. The last time we had all one seeds was 2008, which was, I believe, Memphis, Michigan State, UNC, and Kansas were
Wow.
those teams back then. And unbelievable stuff, unbelievable stories on all sides of the ball. I mean, talk about a fight. This is easily, I know people are going to say it's chalk. Everyone's going to be like, this, there's no madness and whatever, which we'll dive into some madness later. But this is easily the best Final Four we could have gotten. They have been the best four teams all year, and I really kind of wouldn't want it any other way by the Final Four.
Right. No, I totally agree. These teams. I mean, we tried to stay away from chalk as much as we could on our practice bracket, but when it came down to it, chalk is what won. And I mean, we blew up that first round with
We were bad.
upsets.
We were bad.
And I stuck to some of those guns on my other brackets as well. Chalk really just was the way to go about it. Came down to I think a couple different teams. I think in our bracket we had Michigan State was the only other outlier, but we picked maybe
And
Tennessee as
Tennessee.
well. Tennessee. So, but those were two seeds, So
We decided
we
we
did
decided
pretty
to go.
good coming down to the wire, but these are the four best teams. They are at their best right now, and I don't think any real fan of the game, could ask for something much more.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an incredible Final Four. I think it's also just you got some big names in there, right? Two Player of the Year candidates in Janai Broom and Cooper Flag, right? Obviously, we can talk about the rise of Florida. And then
Insane.
Can Calvin Sampson get it
Mm-hmm.
done with Houston? I want to dive into the first matchup here, Florida Auburn. We're talking about a heavyweight fight offensively. Florida seems to have come down to earth after beating a ton of people in the SEC tournament by like 30, and they've had to claw their way to get some wins. Being
Yep.
down, I think, at half in every single game except in the round of 64, down to UConn, right? And then they were down to, I believe, Maryland. And then they were down to Texas Tech. And it's just like they'd find their ways to claw and claw and claw. Talk about Walter Clayton Jr. I mean,
Dude.
easily
Yeah.
easily the player of the month, player of the tournament. He's averaging
Mm-hmm.
in the tournament, DJ, 22.2 points per game and shooting a little bit over 38% from 3. And the way I describe him, he's Mr. Clutch. When you need a basket, he's getting the basket.
Yeah, it was aggravating. I picked Florida. I've been high on Florida. You know this since about mid-January. I'm like, this is the best team in basketball. The way that they're playing is at another level compared to everybody else. And Walter Clayton was 0 for 5 from three-pointers before the last 2.5 minutes left in that Texas Tech game. Was 0 for 5. Darn near ice cold except from the free throw line. That's where he got, what, 14 of his points or 13 of his points on 14 free throw attempts. Dude was a free throw merchant in that game. But he hit the three biggest buckets of the entire tournament, and Mr. Clutch, like you said, and it's absurd what he is shooting. I was at the new it was in the newsroom, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this. And my sports director turns to me and was like, yes, you have. You have seen something just like it. You know who it is? I was like, Steph Curry. And I hate to be the person to compare it to him, but homie is just he's clutch. He can hit from anywhere on the floor, and he can hit them contested. So homie's going bananas.
And it's not just Clayton. I mean,
No.
before Clayton really got going in that Texas Tech game, Hogg was, I believe it's her,
I don't know.
Thomas.
Yeah. I
He
know who
was
you're talking about. It's just, they
he was
think he
cold.
pronounces it weird.
He was ice cold from 3 point range. He was draining everything. He was unstoppable, ice in his veins. Had some really clutch buckets. I mean, Richard and Condon have been keys for them, and the big key I think in this Auburn matchup is Elijah Martin because I don't think in their most recent matchup I think Martin was out. So now you get Martin back, add another guy to crash the boards, and I think because Florida has been so battle tested this freaking tournament, I feel like they they're not really worried about, if we're down, like we're not out of it versus how some teams that they're down, they hit the panic button, like they're just jacking up threes. Like Florida just is so they just get to their spots, they run their offense, they play the defense, they get the rebound. Like they just play at such a clean way when they are down in the game that you could just never count them out.
Todd Golden had such a unique way to go about his team being down. I think they were down 7 or 8 points, and he used the fouls in his favor. They had fouls to give, and I wish I knew or I could remember exactly what they did, but he was using those fouls in certain situations, and I think it sped up the tempo for Texas Tech, right? So they'd foul with a certain amount, or they got the person that they wanted to the line, right? And they were going 1-and-1s is what it was. They would intentionally foul, get somebody to the line, they would miss the free throw, and then they get the ball back, and that's when Walter Clayton went to work. And I was like, that is just the most genius coaching that I've seen. They waited for their guy to get the ball that they wanted at the free throw line for him to miss, and then let Walter Clayton Jr. do his thing and got Florida back. I think by the time they stopped, it was either Walter Clayton's game go ahead three, or it was the shot that put them down one of those two options, and it was just so quick. Tremendous coaching is going along with the way that these athletes are performing as well.
I mean, some people call it Bush League from Todd Golden, but like it's a common strategy among basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they're going to say? You also got to hit your free throws. Texas Tech can't blame anybody but themselves. If Florida's going to get you to the free throw line, you know what the
Gotta make
nickname for
them.
the free throw line is? It's the charity stripe, right? Because it's free buckets. Like nobody's contesting you. And again, they targeted a guy. They went hack a Shack and they benefited from it. I mean, you have a strategy, run it till the wheels fall off, and that's what Florida did. Fun fact about, Todd Golden. So when Bruce Pearl was at Auburn, when he first started, he hired a director of basketball ops. You know who he hired? Hired Todd Golden.
Wow.
Fresh young guy. Todd Golden was on Bruce Pearl's staff way, way back. Let's talk a little bit about Auburn here. I mean, we know they just have incredible depth. Janai Broom, he's the big name. Hasn't really performed super well in this tournament. 17.2 points per game, but he gets double digit rebounds in each game this tournament. But, I mean, this team is just deep. Pettiford has stepped up in a big, big way. Cardwell and Denver Jones have been unsung heroes. And Baker Mazzara needs, he's just a juice god. He gets after it on the defensive end. Even though he's only had 6 points in the last two games, he gets after it on the defensive end, and they're just deep. Auburn can give it to you any which way till Sunday, and they're just a team where they're so well coached. But the question is, can they keep their emotions in check? Because that is said sometimes that bite them in the butt, specifically with Baker Mazzara.
I think a big key for Auburn in this game is going to be not only hitting your shots from the outside, but really utilizing their size against people like Condon. I think Texas Tech's biggest advantage was, going one-on-one with Condon down low, and towards when Texas Tech went on their run, they were abusing the blocks down low and getting pretty much whatever they wanted until Florida made the adjustment. But finding a way to make that adjustment, I think, would be huge for Auburn to be really competitive in this game and keep it close.
Yeah, I think for Auburn, it's a battle of attrition. You got to get in there, get nasty. Cardwell has stepped up to be a second rim protector with Broom if Broom wants to go and shoot those three balls and try to be that stretch four. that they have, and Cardwell can go and get nitty gritty down and get those rebounds. I think this is just a matter of experience. I think Florida, they have come back from the dead like 18 times. They're never out of it, but Auburn also has put the stranglehold on teams and just kept them at an arm's length as well. Like take the Michigan game, for instance, where Michigan was hanging around, but at some point it's just a little too much. And same with Michigan State. It's all just a little too much. When you think you make a little headway, they hit a big shot, the momentum switches. I mean, I'm interested to see what happens. Auburn fans travel super well. I mean, Florida fans are going to travel super well
Mm-hmm.
playing down in San Antonio. I'm really excited for this matchup. We both have Florida winning the Natty, so like we're gonna probably have to stick to our guns here. But man, oh man, what a game this is gonna be.
Yeah, I'm gonna rock with Florida until they can prove me otherwise. But I really do. I expect this game, of all the uncomfortable games, this will either be the most uncomfortable or the second, with the other one only being UConn. I think UConn was Florida's most uncomfortable game this tournament, and now with Texas Tech being second. But I believe that this one's gonna be more difficult, more strenuous. You're gonna have more talent on this Auburn team than this Texas Tech team did. Um, so Florida's really gonna have to step up, and I'm gonna stick with Florida.
Moving on, let's talk about the second game. Let's talk about you want to talk about the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. This is that to a T. You have the Duke Blue Devils, who, I mean, they're currently ninth in the country, averaging 83.7 points per game, right? They're beating everybody what feels like by 20. They beat Alabama by 20, and Alabama was creme de la creme, right? But we go up against Houston. Houston, number one team in points allowed, only giving up about 53 points per game. Duke currently has a 21 plus point differential. I mean, Houston's right along there with 15.7 on the season. I mean, talk about the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. You're going to have to try and stop Cooper Flag. 19 and a half points per game. Easily being the best player in the country, shooting near 50% from the field. And now they're starting to get help from Connor Kneppel. 20 plus points in the last two games. And they got Proctor back. Their center just absolutely can cause all different types of fits down in the paint defensively and gives them a huge rebounding threat. But Cooper Flag, I mean, this Duke team has not really been tested, but then again, they are just blowing everybody out of the water. And they held a very good Alabama team to 65 points.
Yeah, this game is more intriguing, but is, I think, less exciting than the Florida Auburn matchup. Houston's gonna have to pick their poison here, right? And they're gonna have to pick one way to go about this game, and then they're gonna have to die by the other if they can execute, right? They have to figure out how to stop Cooper Flag, or they let Cooper Flag be the one that beats them. Right. I think if Knupple's scoring 20 plus a game, you have to be able to stop Cooper Flag. There's no way that Houston comes out top of this if both of them are playing to their potential, right? So put all your arms on stopping Cooper Flag and let everybody else beat you, or you put everything you got on Cooper Flag. And did I just say that? Did I just say the same thing twice? I'm sorry. Or you really go gun-ho on making sure that Cooper Flag doesn't have any other options. And I think that's how you go about this game. Cooper Flag has proven to be the best player in basketball, right? I don't really think that's really up for debate. You may have a couple different arguments, but long story short, he's one of the top three players, and he's arguably the best player of the teams that are left. So, live by one sword, die by the other if they beat it. So
I think the key for Houston is they put Tennessee in a noose, just strangled the life out of them. Defensively, just a straight jacket. Chaz Lanier would try and get into the paint, and there's three guys in the paint. Zakai Ziegler goes in, beats the first guy, but the center rotates back and gets blocks. I think I saw 6 or 7 blocks from Houston alone in that game against Tennessee. I mean, they gave Tennessee the business, and it wasn't by anything crazy. It's just, I think Houston's strategy is we're going to play methodical basketball. LJ Cryer currently is averaging 16 8 points per game in the tournament right now. He's the leading scorer, right? And the key for Houston is that they're so efficient on both ends of the ball. They're good on the offensive end, and defensively, they're the best defensive team left in this tournament, right? And the
Right.
thing is, I think they're going to have a plan to try and stop Flag. But like we said, if Knuppel or Proctor get going, you can't, like, you're going to have to give up some resources, or it's we're going to make Duke beat us without Cooper Flag. And
Right.
if that's the way you're going to want to play, that's, I guess, you're going to have to live with Knuppel getting 25 if Cooper Flag getting 14. So it's one of those things where I think Houston is just extremely efficient. They're extremely well coached. I mean, that out of bounds play against Purdue was insane. Inbound, bounce it back to the inbounder to go up and get the two was crazy. I thought that was so well done, so genius, high IQ. Just knowing what Purdue has done all game and then punishing them for it. And I think Houston here, I mean, this is easily probably one of Kelvin Sampson's best teams overall. And if he can't get it done with this team, I don't know when he'll get it done. But then again, Cooper Flag has stepped up in the big moments. Everyone's talking about will Duke win a close one? And it's like their goal kind of is we don't need to win a close one because we're not going to make it close. We're just going to blow you out. And who knows what that looks like, but this Duke team has been red hot as of late. And it's, again, it's going to be a battle. And I'm very interested to see what happens. I have Duke, I believe, winning. I believe you do as well. And so that leaves us with a Florida Duke national championship. And I think we both still have Florida winning this just because they've come back from the dead. They played the best basketball. It spoils go the victor.
Yeah, I have Duke going on in this game. I would like you brought up the point about for Houston, if not now, then when, but they'll find themselves back in here. They have a certain way that they play basketball there that makes them a force year in and year out to some extent. But I think Duke and how they've been playing, I don't know that I believe Houston can find the path to beating this Duke team or Cooper Flag, and I just trust the talent and everybody else. Even if they can beat Cooper Flag, I don't know that they can beat the other four on the floor. So I've got Duke going to the national championship as well, Florida Duke, and I do have Florida winning that game.
Yeah, I mean, Duke's closest game was Arizona, and that's just because Arizona refused to die, essentially,
Right.
because Caleb Love hates Duke. So, true Tar Heel at heart. But, I mean, let's talk a little bit here, staying on the topic of the Final Fours. We're just going to kind of, talk a little bit about the women's Final Four here. UCLA, UConn, Texas, and South Carolina. Again, relatively chalk in my women's bracket. Slight flex, got all four right. Yeah, impressive, right? The thing is about this Final Four is that, like, if you're a fan of just basketball, this is a phenomenal Final Four. It has everything you want. You have dominating centers, you have stars in the making, you have elite guard play, and it's just going to be phenomenal. I mean, Paige Becker's on the last year trying to just win it all because she hasn't done it yet. Trying to do it with Ozzie Fudd going up against UCLA and arguably one of the best players in women's college basketball, and Laura Betts. I mean, 6'7", causes so many issues with this team. Not with this team, but for other teams. To just, like, with her height, she has elite footwork down in the paint and in the presence. I mean, there's just, and UCLA's coach just won Coach of the Year as well,
Wow.
Gary Close. So it's just like one of those things where you're looking at it and you're just like, this is phenomenal. On the other side, you got Texas, South Carolina, Texas trying to make magic happen with Madison Booker in the first year in the SEC. But South Carolina's chasing that dynasty. And I can't, I'm excited to see where it's going to go. I mean, I can't wait personally. I think this is going to be phenomenal stuff down in Tampa. One thing I will say, I have South Carolina winning, but what scares me is that the teams that South Carolina have lost to this season are all in the Final Four. They have lost to Texas, UConn, and UCLA, and it makes me scared. UCLA is the number one overall seed. They have been easily the best team all year, but I think they overwhelm UConn, and I think the Paige Becker story comes to an end, unfortunately for her. But she's playing out of her mind. In her last 2 games, she's had 40 and 31 points. She is trying to will UConn to win this thing for not only her, but for Gino. I mean, what more can you ask for, right? Out of your best
Not
player.
much.
Not much. So again, it's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to watch it as well. That is a Friday, Sunday with the men on Saturday, Monday. If you're a fan of basketball, we're in for an incredible treat on both sides of the tournaments.
Yeah.
Moving. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was
Go ahead.
I was just gonna comment. I don't think that Texas has what it takes to take down South Carolina in this matchup. I think this is Texas lost to South Carolina. I believe it was in the SEC championship game, correct?
Yep, it was.
So I kind of expect that same thing to happen now, unless Madison can really step it up, which I believe she has the ability. But I was gonna say I would rock with South Carolina despite another a regular season loss. But South Carolina really steps it up and they have the experience. When it comes down to it, to in this realm to perform at a higher level, and that's why I wouldn't knock off UConn against UCLA too. And I know you didn't do that, but UConn is a very experienced team and a very experienced coach, especially in this time, right?
Yeah, it's
And it would be fitting for it to come down to UConn and South Carolina. It would be very fitting.
It's just UConn right now. Currently, the ESPN analytics have South Carolina and UConn as the favorites. UConn is a 7.5 point favorite, and South Carolina is 4.5. The thing I think for me watching this UConn team is just Paige Beckers is on a mission, and I feel like I've never seen this out of Paige. I feel like she's unlocked another part of her game that I feel like has been dormant in her, or not maybe dormant's the word, but I knew Paige was a dog, but I feel like the dog is now off the leash and she's running the yard. And now it's like she's showing up, giving everyone the business. I mean, South Carolina is just key of consistency with them. I mean, just unbelievable stuff with Edwards. Chloe Kitts is incredible as their center. Everybody scores. I mean, it's just a great team in general. And you look at Texas, like we've talked about with Madison Booker, and it's just where does it go with them? And I mean, Madison Booker, just unbelievable stuff, averaging nearly 16.5 points per game, plays a ton of minutes. But I think Dawn Staley is one of the best coaches ever. And I think as much as Texas has been able to give her difficulty, I think this is, unfortunately for them, the luck and the magic runs out for them, for Texas, not for South Carolina.
Right.
So,
well,
moving on, let's talk a little bit about new faces, new places. We had a mass exodus of coaching changes, more than I could probably remember in a long while. I mean, let's probably talk about the biggest name the biggest news, unfortunately. Kevin Willard to Villanova, a Maryland coach leaving after his first Sweet 16 appearance, going to Villanova, going back to his Big East roots. And the thing about this was if he was already going to go, which it sounds like it was, that's okay. But man, was it weird with some of the things he was saying, kind of attacking the Maryland athletics department. It was crazy. And the thing is, when push came to shove, Maryland came back, was like, we want to give you what you want. And he goes, oh, I've already taken another job. So, you're going to have to find someone else. Granted, Villanova doesn't, I think for Kevin Willard, he wanted to go somewhere where football wasn't the priority, where basketball was going to get the resources they need to go be competitive and go win, which is what is Villanova through and through. Basketball school. Football is good, but it's FCS football versus like Maryland's a basketball school, right? We both know that. We both know Maryland's a basketball school. Both sides, men and women, right? But also, the problem is in a conference like the Big Ten, you know
Football's
it as
king.
well as I do. Football's king. Football runs it. So I think for Calvin Willard, I think he wanted to move back up to the Big East country, back to closer to New Jersey. I think he missed it over there. And I think being in the Big East and a basketball focused conference, I think Kevin Willard's going to be very, very happy to be there at Villanova.
Yeah, very shocking news, especially as rapid as it came right after that Maryland lost to Florida. But, like you said, if he wants to focus on basketball and you want basketball to be the focus of your school or your athletics department, then he went to the right place. And I mean, moreover, Villanova is a hard basketball school to pass up when you get a head coaching job over there. But again, like you said, it's just very, very weird how it all went down. But
I mean, sticking in the Big East, another big hot commodity name, Richard Pitino, goes to Xavier. We get two Patinos in the Big East. I mean, can it get more Italian than that, right? I mean, Xavier got the right guy. There was some rumblings that Richard Pitino wanted to go to Nova, but he opted for Xavier. I think that's a great move for him. Xavier's a little bit less pressure than Nova in terms of the city pressure and the national spotlight, but Xavier is still a very well respected Big East school and a school with actually, they don't actually have football. So it is basketball through and through for them. And it's a great move. This is Richard Pitino's second big stint. I mean, at Minnesota, he didn't do too hot, and that's why he had to go back to New Mexico. But I think he's learned a ton of things, and now he's going to Xavier, and I can't wait to see him at Xavier.
yeah,
Going to kind of go through rapid fire here. Stop me if you want to talk about a name. Ben McCullum of Drake goes to Iowa, bringing that slow, stagnant offense. You thought football was slow. Basketball is going to be slower on the offensive side of the glass.
poor guys.
Moving ahead, and we're looking at Nick Medved going to Minnesota. He was the Colorado State coach, got them to the round of 32. Ross Hodges of North Texas going to West Virginia to replace Darren DeVries, who went to Indiana, and kind of a shocking move to people because they were talking during the season about bringing him on, as well as when West Virginia got snubbed, he was crying to the Wolves about how a disservice it was, but secretly he was going to Bloomington, Indiana. Ryan
Yeah.
Odom, VCU, going to Virginia. Eric Olin of UC San Diego going to New Mexico. Sean Miller of Xavier going to Texas. I think that's an insane move, but good for Sean Miller to get back to that level of play. Will Wade, McNeese State going to NC to try and revitalize the Wolfpack. And the most breaking news, I think yesterday, Buzz Williams, Texas A&M, is now the head coach at Maryland. I mean,
Wow.
I think he maximized everything he could at A&M. I think Maryland got a great hire to replace Kevin Willard. And I think, I'm excited to see what happens with some of these programs.
I was gonna say I wanted to talk to you real quick about the Eric Olin one because that seems like New Mexico's not really hiring somebody new as far as play style. If Eric Olin, you said, is coming from UC San Diego, right? Heavy 3-point shooting, very much more fast paced offense, and that
Defensive dog.
seems, yeah. Is it what plus does New Mexico get from this hire? What different? What do they get that's different from this hire?
I think for them, I think you're getting a little bit more run and gun style, is the way I like to call what UC San Diego does. It's defensively get steals because steals trigger the offense. It's not so much half court setup, then we run the offense. Like we can do that, but the biggest key is we're going to steal, we're going to play defense, and that's going to jumpstart the offense. Push the transition pace, make life difficult for the defensive team for 40 minutes. Well, I think New Mexico easily did that and really put pressure on their teams. UC San Diego really capitalized on what they had. They had a lot of guys that can shoot, and they weren't very tall. So with that being said, like they knew that they weren't going to win the rebound battle, so they had to be defensively sound. So I think for New Mexico, I think it's a great hire just because it fits the Mountain West style of play. And I mean, New Mexico's a premier basketball school now, thanks to Richard Pitino and the Mountain West getting a lot of love that it is. So I think Eric Olin is going to make things really exciting down in New Mexico, down in the pit. And I can't wait to see what happens in the Mountain West with Eric Olin for years to come.
Fair enough.
I think the sneaky hire to me is Ryan Odom to Virginia. The one thing I will say is you're not seeing a lot of guys moving cross country, right? Ben McCullum went from Drake to Iowa. Like he's, I think, just going across like maybe not even an hour with where Drake is, right? You're getting Ryan Odom to Virginia. Like he's staying in the same state. He's just moving out of Richmond to Charlottesville. Kevin Willard's going from Maryland to Philly. That's maybe an hour's drive top, right? So like a lot of guys are staying relatively close nearby that I think is going to work really well for where they were recruiting. And I mean, obviously they're going to bring their guys with them, but also, they can go and get really some really high powered new guys. I think a great thing kind of transition, talk a little bit about the transfer portal. It's just one of those things where it's like the transfer portal is good, it's healthy, but man, there needs to be some type of regulation because there's just. Did you see the one?
Have you Ohio State's Michi Johnson? I was just about to say Ohio State to South Carolina, back to Ohio State, and now back to South Carolina. Like,
I mean,
I don't get it.
I mean, I feel bad. This is a little, I'm seeing a lot of news, because, people of the show know I used to be at UMass for my job. And like UMass, they got 7 dudes enter the portal. Like that's your like nearly 3/4 of your roster gone. Just in the portal like that. And it's one of those things where you're looking at it like some of these bigger schools are going to go poach them. Like Jalen Curry is a guy I know easily a big school is going to poach him and be their new point guard, right? That's just a name that comes off the top of my head. It's like, man, these obviously like it's been a small dialogue of like, is the mid-major dying? And I was like, I don't think the mid-major is dying. I think parity is great. The problem is now is that you don't get the years of consistent parity. So like a team like Drake has done great in their conference because they've gotten great coaches, but like who knows what's going to happen with them because all their players are getting poached. McNeese State, they're going to get some dudes to get poached. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's really, you don't really see guys stay. Like when VCU had 2 guys stay instead of entering the portal, it was one of those things where it was like rare to see that. So I don't know. I still need more data before I can come out and say the portal is killing the tournament. But I will say, like, Rick Pitino said it the best. He goes, we're not looking at transfer. Like, we're not looking at high school kids. We're not bringing in high school kids. We're going to go get transfers. He goes, like, we're going to go get grown-ups. Versus, the thing is, like, and the thing is, too, like, let's say you go recruit a high school kid, right? And he does good, he leaves. So, like, you're putting a lot of effort in to try and get a kid that maybe will leave, but it's also the same for other people, and it's a double-edged sword with where it's going in college basketball. Still need more data before I can definitively say some things, but that's my initial takeaways.
Yeah, did you end up seeing that graphic of the starting 5 or the starting lineups in the Sweet 16 versus where they originated from? I believe their only school that had a team full of their own players, their own developed players, was Purdue. I think Houston had 1 transfer. I think Tennessee was mostly transfers. Duke was up there. I think they had a good amount of their own kids stay in that pipeline because, I mean, it's so, but a lot of these teams came from, or a lot of these players came from different teams. And so, sad to see.
It's just the way college basketball is now. I will say the pendulum swung from everybody was going to go get one and dones and get the talent to now it's, unless it's a Cooper Flag, like some of these top 100 kids, like, may not, like maybe a top 100 kid used to be able to go to like a school like Florida. But now if Florida's like, we just want to get transfers, like a top 100 kid might go to Rutgers, might go to Penn State. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm just like spitting stuff out. Maybe not super likely, but still. Let's talk a little bit about opening day here. The talk of the town, DJ, was the torpedo bats.
Yeah.
The torpedo bats.
I mean, when you beat a team by 3 touchdowns in baseball, I mean,
You have no choice but to start a dialogue.
exactly.
I find it interesting that there was so much outrage over it when it really is just they took the sweet spot of the bat and moved it to where you make more contact with the ball.
Right. It's not even, I don't even think it's necessarily moving it. It's just adding more bat. It's taking it from one spot.
Yeah,
And
you're just
it's
shifting. You're
compounding
just
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're just
it's compounding
shifting.
it.
And the people are like, it should be banned. It's illegal. And I'm like, all it is just giving you a better chance to hit the ball in the legal parameters. Like it's not like you're hitting like with a Nerf bat and like sending it to the moon. Like Aaron Judge was asked, "Do you use a torpedo bat?" He's like, "I really don't need to." Like a guy like Anthony Volpe definitely needed to use a torpedo bat to try and get things straightened out for him, and now he's hitting at a really good clip right now to start the season.
Right. I think here's why baseball is gonna keep this bat around. And I mean it could still be in the parameters of what they're allowed to do to a bat. And I'm not saying that they did anything that they weren't allowed to do. It's just offense. It's going to allow for more offense in baseball, which MLB is striving for that. They want to find a way to make it more offensive
Focus.
because that's what makes the game entertaining, right? You know, the MLB loves home runs. I would take base hits and doubles and triples over home runs every game, but like I like a good home run too. So for some of these hitters that don't necessarily have I don't want to say the power to get it out, but the consistency of it, and just to scorch the ball. I mean, if you can hit the ball in the gap on the sweet spot, man, there is no better feeling. But the shape of it very, very much is interesting as well. Like it is a weird looking bat, and I'm looking at an image of it here. It's just like hitting it off the end has to be miserable. Hitting it off the end of the bat has to be miserable. It looks like it would hurt. But the Yankees used it. They looked like, I mean, the Yankees are in the most hitter-friendly ballpark you could find. So I don't really think that's a great target to look at. But if you look at a team like Cincinnati, Ellie De La Cruz used it and went 4 for 5 with, I think it was 2 home runs, something like that. And he's got enough power to hit the ball out of the stadium. But I mean, everything that he hit was hit on a rocket. So I like the torpedo bat. Just shout out to the Yankees for exploiting something that nobody else was ahead on until now. But it's very interesting. Let's see how they go about it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see some big takeaways from opening day here. Mackenzie Gore just completely shut down the Phillies. 13 Ks, 1 hit, no earned, but then goes to the bullpen, and the bullpen for the Nationals blew it. Nothing new there, right? But unbelievable stuff from them. That game went to extras. Tyler O'Neill extends his opening day home run streak to 6 home runs now. The Cardinals,
Incredible.
with an incredible sweep of the Twins, starting 3-0. I mean, outside of that, the torpedo bats were the big name of the weekend. The Red Sox, again, Rafi Devers is currently, I think, on an 0-18 strikeout streak at the time of recording, and he just not he's 0-18 with 14 strikeouts. Like, it's not good for Rafi Devers. The Rangers pitching rotation, man, that thing looks solid.
Yep.
Right, I was at a game on Saturday, Rangers Red Sox. What a ballpark, first off. But the bullpen had to come in because Tyler Mahle just was not finding the zone. And the bullpen went like nearly 7 innings. It was crazy how well they performed. And I mean, Eovaldi is shoving. Leiter currently has a sub-1 ERA. Obviously, it's super early in the year. but like he's giving you good juice. DeGrom is DeGromming, and Kumar Rocker will eventually figure it out. So the Rangers are looking nice, and they're just really solid hitting wise and waiting for Josh Jung to get back as well.
Yeah, there's
Other
only
than
two undefeated teams left. The
yep,
Padres and the Dodgers, both starting 7-0. I mean, the point differential is nuts. 25 for the Padres and 21 for the Dodgers. I mean,
they're just
the
matching.
Blue Jays are the top team in the East right now, and their point differential is 1.
I mean the Braves are 0-6. They got swept.
Ooh, I didn't even.
Yeah, and they might get swept again playing the Dodgers. So it's crazy. Obviously, super early in the year. You can't just overreact. But man,
Overreact. We don't do that around here.
we don't never overreact. Other than that, DJ, I'm gonna give you a quick update to some college hockey here. Just
Give
some
it to
quick
me.
up, quick updates. So Frozen Four is set. Western Michigan, Denver, Boston University, and Penn State. Now, I said this on the TikTok. I'm going to get on my soapbox again. They need to move the regionals to on campus sites because I just want you to think about this, right? UMass, before I talk about Maine and Penn State, UMass had to travel from Massachusetts all the way to Fargo, North Dakota to play two teams from Minnesota and a team from Michigan. And it's like they didn't play all three teams, obviously, but the fan advantage is immense. Like they played against Minnesota in their opening round game, and they were down. They felt like a Minnesota home game, basically. They were down 3-1. They came back and won the game in overtime 4-3. They get to go and play Western Michigan. Western Michigan gets a 5-minute major call for them. They lose their best shooter, Idar Sunya. He gets booted from the game. UMass ends up losing 2-1 in a very pro Western Michigan crowd. Moving out. And the thing is, that venue did okay, but let's move to Manchester, where we have Denver University traveling all the way to Manchester to play Boston College and Providence and Bentley, all literally like within an hour's drive of each other, university wise. Been to all three rinks as well. Love them. But it's like Manchester, when Providence and Denver played DJ, it was like going to a Tampa Bay Rays game. There's just
Really?
nobody in the stands. Just nobody.
Wow.
These kids are playing to win a national, try and go to a natty. There's no one in the stands. Right?
Wow.
Now let's bring it to the real issue. The real issue I have here. Maine. Number 3 seeded team in the country. Right? Number 3 overall team. Has to play Penn State in round 1 in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
They turned that rink, DJ, into a Penn State home game. What happens to Maine? They lose. Penn State then has to go play UConn. Penn State home game. They beat UConn in overtime. And Penn State's going to their first ever national championship in program history. I mean, first Frozen Four. I mean, great stuff for them. They literally used to be a club hockey team, DJ, and they boosted themselves up to a Division I collegiate level. It's an insane rise from Penn State. But like, there should be no reason that Maine is playing a pseudo road game when you're the number 3 team in the country, right? Like, it's crazy. It's
That
crazy
makes
to me that
sense.
this still happens. Like, I think they need to bring it on campus. I think they need to bring it there because like it's just not fair. And half these locations, like, nobody's going to. Like, the Toledo Regional, if it wasn't for Ohio State playing in the first game, like, in Michigan State, like, that venue is bad because the two teams that beat Michigan State and Ohio State was Boston University and Cornell, two East Coast teams, and you're playing in the heart of Ohio and Toledo. Like, the regions just don't make sense
Right.
anymore. Obviously, you don't know much about collegiate hockey, but
I
like
mean, but
that's
it just sounds like a
it just
disadvantage.
it makes no sense. It makes no sense for why we're sending UMass to North Dakota, we're sending Denver to Manchester, New Hampshire, like, and then Maine has to go play a pseudo road game. I think in the next coming years, I think they're going to bring it on campus because a lot of people are beating the drum to bring it on campus / change the format of the NCAA tournament because only 16 teams make it. So some of them, I think they're going to do a do or die first round, a best 2 out of 3 second round, and then do or die Frozen Four. I don't know. But, or maybe you do it like College World Series style, round robin. Then I don't know. But it's just the way I just wanted to get on my soapbox and talk about it just a little bit because
it's I mean, especially with as niche of a sport as, I wouldn't want to say niche, but
no, it's a niche college sport. It's very niche.
Yeah, and so an advantage seems like it would benefit somebody aggressively. I wouldn't expect North Carolina to like playing in Jacksonville, Florida, right? I mean, maybe that's a bad example, or Tampa. Let's just put it in Tampa. Right, that's a much longer ride. Very close for Gainesville people, especially in the state of Florida. In any type of sport, like it just doesn't like having a fan advantage changes the vibe of the whole game.
Yeah, it's when, like, the example I like to give is when it's the first game of the year it's like the Chick-fil-A kickoff in Atlanta, right. And it's a neutral site game, but they have Georgia playing Clemson. Like, that's a home game for Georgia. Like what are we like? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's a home game for Georgia. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're gonna make it neutral, make it much closer in highly populated regions for people to actually go to. Like, do them in Detroit. Like, if you're gonna, like, you know what I'm saying? Do Detroit, do Philly. Like, but if that's not the case and we're going to go to these minor league rinks, like some of these college teams have better rinks. Like, they're right. Like, you know what I'm saying? They just have better rinks. And maybe I don't know the revenue numbers, but if all the coaches and players want it to be on campus, I think you have to listen to them and advocate for the ones participating in your tournament. This isn't March Madness where you have the TV rights. I mean, women's basketball is having the same issue. I don't know if you saw Gino. Did you see Gino's comments the other day?
I'm not sure that I did.
Gino basically eviscerated the NCAA because he's like, so you're going to tell me we have women's basketballs on the rise?
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take all the best teams and put them in 2 locations that they can only see them. Because we sold our soul. He's like, why can't we be like the men and have regional sites? So that way, like, our fans in Connecticut can at least come see us. They're not going to travel to Spokane, Washington, or to Birmingham. Like, you know what I mean? And especially because, like, Ole Miss was in the Spokane region. Like, that's even crazier for them to go and try and travel up that far. So I think the NCAA has to take a look and maybe figure out some regional things for their NCAA tournament. I think Cocky is leaning towards a host site rather than a neutral site venue, because I felt bad for Maine, because when you work all year to be the top team in the country and you have to go play Penn State in a pseudo road game, that just sucks. That just sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, DJ, quick, efficient podcast today.
It was not very. I don't want to say not in depth, but it's very. We just rode that one through. We stated what we needed to say. Efficient.
The thing is, we're just here talking about stuff, giving a little bit of our insight, what we're going to do. We've had our picks made for a while. You know, we're riding our picks all the way through. The Gators win, they win. If they lose, well, at least we rode the horse all the way to the end. You know what they say.
Exactly.
Exciting stuff in the pipeline. DJ, you better get your football knowledge up, big fella, because the mock draft episode is upcoming. Not next, coming up soon.
It's coming up soon. Freshen
up. April 24th is the NFL draft. We are less than a month away, close to less than 20 days.
Less. Playoffs.
Last. Well, he has been DJ. I have been Jacob Pearl. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Find us on all platforms. We have been the Deal with D and J.